Welcome back once again to the number one source for information, education, and inspiration, the You Should Get a License podcast with Rod Powell. That is me. Hey, look, sometimes you get a moment to speak to someone who is doing something so massive, it's going to be historic. And I'm going to tell you, the guest that we have this evening, he is an insurance entrepreneur, which I really love because he's multifaceted. And he's a smart brother too. He actually got his MBA from Dartmouth. So, he's going to be talking about some things that are going to enlighten, educate, inspire. And I want to welcome to the You Should Get a License platform, the president and CEO of Safari, but also the president of E.G. Bowman, Mr. Jelani Fenton. Jelani, how you doing, good brother?
Listen, brother, I am great. I got no complaints over here. I got 10 toes to the ground, and we get to talk about insurance, so it's a good day.
Hey, listen, man, I'm excited to have you on the platform. I've been watching you for a while. We've had the opportunity to be on a couple of panels and platforms and share, but this is something that I've been thinking about because I know that there are so many entrepreneurs and industry professionals that can really be inspired by your story and the things that you've accomplished. So I kind of want to start off like this. On this platform, we speak to existing industry professionals, but we also speak to people who are coming into the industry or people who are thinking about coming into the industry. Maybe they met someone, they had an interview somewhere, they had considered it, they've been seeing stuff on social media, and they're kind of figuring out, which direction they should go in. Can you just share with the audience, with the listeners, what is your market segment? I know you started in the brokerage, and we're going to get into your history, but what's your market segment? Where do you focus right now your efforts on a day-to-day in this insurance and financial industry?
Absolutely. So just some quick background and context here. Between the two businesses, we're kind of recognize that there's a lot of opportunity, particularly on the commercial insurance side. So that's where I spend all of my time. That's where my background is. That's where my expertise, quote unquote expertise, really lies there. I don't want to give folks the impression that I know too much, but I know enough to be dangerous. So, on my day-to-day, we're recognizing that there's opportunities, particularly since folks are starting to get up there in age and start to retire out of the commercial insurance business. So what we're doing on the Safari side is kind of twofold. So the first part of that is really focused on how do we get more young talent, AKA your listeners and folks that are interested in getting into this industry. How do we get them into the pipeline, get them a better understanding of what a career in the commercial insurance business really entails, and then get them placed into full-time roles within that specific industry, while also providing them the training that they need to be able to be successful. And then the second piece of it is how do we get more diverse talent into the pipeline so that we can really get those folks into areas that they can really succeed, knowing that, listen, you and I all both know this industry is not the most diverse, and there's a lot of work to be done on that front. So it's almost like it's the perfect opportunity for more people from our community to get into this business because there are so many folks that are retiring out, and that there's just so many open positions that are going to need to be filled, hopefully by more people that look like you and I. So that's kind of one piece of what we do really on the Safari side. And then on the actual E.G. Bowman side, again, you have a lot of folks that are, for one reason or another, these are agency owners that are in the 60s, maybe up into the 70s, that have just been kind of coasting for a while, don't have any kids that are ready to take over their business, or don't want to sell into the large private equity space. So really what we do is we actually go out and make either majority investments or full acquisitions of insurance brokerages across the United States. So kind of recognizing that there's just a general thesis here, which is that the insurance industry is old, it's getting older, and there's not enough young talent coming into the business. So we're looking at it in terms of two very acute opportunities that we have to be able to capitalize on that.
Man, I love it. So, really, what's really fascinating about where you sit in the industry is you're kind of on both sides. You're on the talent development and recruitment side, but you're also on the succession side as well. So when people are kind of coming into the industry, brand new, you're a bridge for them to have a roadmap to run on. But then when people are starting to exit out of the industry, you're also a resource to say, hey, look, I'll protect your legacy. I'll protect what you've built, and we'll make sure that that sustains for the next generation as well. Man, just amazing, man. Hey, look, we got a lot to unpack with your career journey and your story. But I want to go back for a minute before we go into what we're doing now. And I want you to take me back to, a 9-10-year-old Jelani Fenton growing up, Brooklyn, New York, for the New York people out there.
Brooklyn, stand up, baby.
Stand up. Now I'm from Virginia, so but my wife, Brooklyn, she's gonna be playing Brooklyn all day.
Y'all can stand up. Y'all can stand too. Don't worry, you're still family. We got you. We got you.
Everybody moves down here, though.
That's a fact. Listen, I'm trying to get out of here too. This rent is no joke. Like, it is out of control. Like, rent and commercial space, residential and commercial space. It's just gouging me.
I'm hearing, man. So going back, take me back, man, to 9-10-year-old Jelani Fenton. What were you dreaming of doing at that time?
So it's interesting because there's two distinct kind of paths that I always thought about. One of which doesn't make any sense because I don't really do it. The second of which it might be something that I look to kind of in post-retirement age. But the first one is, so when my family first came over to the United States from Trinidad and Tobago, my grandmother, everyone moved over to Crown Heights. That's both on my mom and my dad's side. They actually met because they lived in the same building in Crown Heights, which some of your listeners might hear Crown Heights and they might notice Prospect Lefferts Gardens now. Don't fall victim to that gentrification stuff. They just got to change the name so they can charge more rent. But with that, like, my grandmother was a seamstress, and she came over here, learned how to do it back in Trinidad, but came over here. She went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, and really got her degree and was actually able to kind of start her own business, which is kind of where I guess I get a little bit of my entrepreneurial flair, because she actually started a business working with people of all backgrounds, basically hemming all of their clothing, putting together like custom made clothing and things of that nature. So when I did used to wear a suit, all of my suits, like, I couldn't go to my grandma's house and like not have that done up. Like, I couldn't have the seams on the bottom of my pants not looking crisp, and it had to be like cut perfectly. And like we had to like, it had to fit like a glove.
Him a little bit too long, man.
It's a little like that's not gonna fly in grandma's house, especially on Sundays. So for me, it was like seeing her kind of build up that business was always so interesting. So I actually took a seamster class, probably like 7 or 8 years ago, just to kind of learn how to make my own suit. So I actually made like a custom made suit for myself that I actually start to wear. So that's definitely something that, at that age, I was just always exposed to it because I'd sit in her house and like see her put together different garments and things of that nature. So that was always really interesting to me. And the second one was a chef. So I like to eat, a lot. And, we're fortunate being around here in New York that we have some of the best restaurants out there. Unfortunately, I don't know how to cook for what. So it's one of those things where I kind of have a little bit of a conflict there because I don't actually do it. But I'm hoping to be able to retire and then be able to like go back to cooking school at some point and look at that passion as something for like post-retirement years. Because I think food brings people so much joy. It's such a great connector of large groups of people. And, I think that like, as someone that like I have a very large friend group, I have a very large family, and I'm always looking for ways to be able to just connect. And I don't think there's a better way to be able to do that over a good plate of food. So I'm hoping that I can actually be able to serve that at some point, but I don't know if that's going to work anytime soon, but we got to see.
I love it, man. Hey, when y'all have that big, grand opening up there, and you have the display out,
yes, sir. Yeah, listen, we got, we'll have cuisines of all sorts. We got to start with Trinidadian food, then we can work our way out to Jamaican, and then we can do that American Southern food too. So that's definitely on the way.
Absolutely, man. That, it's interesting. So you have, an analytical mind, but a creative heart,
Indeed. That's a great way to put it.
Chef, take me through your career journey, man, because I'm trying to figure out how you went from the seamstress. Well, chef, you said okay, you're not cooking there. You can still run the restaurant, you know. How'd you end up in this space? So take me on that journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as many folks do, I was in junior year of college. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was looking at possibly going down to law school at some point, but then I'm like, I don't feel like studying for the LSAT. And all of the corporate lawyers that I know are just grinders, and that life doesn't really look all that much fun. So, I like if you were to go into a room of 10 people, myself being no dissimilar, and you would ask 9 of them how they got into if you would ask 10 of them how they got into the industry, 9 of them would say I either fell into it or I had a family member in the business. And then 1 of them would say, I actually studied this and I'm a psychopath and I'm a true nerd. So I don't fall into that latter bucket. I fall into the former. So I had a parent in the business. My mom started working at AIG the year that I was born. So 1991, she was working as a secretary, transitioned over to HR. And she kind of like really paved the way for me getting into the industry and just kind of put me on to the world of commercial insurance. Because like when I'm in college, right, like you've got all the big accounting firms, all the big investment banks and all consulting firms, et cetera, that are coming to recruit you. And I had just never heard about this world of insurance. I was fortunate enough to have a couple of internships in insurance that I ended up applying for and getting through, but I didn't really know that insurance really touched everything. And then once I started to dig into it, I'm like, yo, this is pretty dope, right? Like I can really work like a 9 to 5, make really, really good money and do something that is maybe not counter-cyclical, but basically, regardless of where we are in the economic cycle, we will always be paid. And these insurance companies will always be doing well. So it was the opportunity always really kind of stood out to me because you can take the analytical side to your point. Like insurance is all numbers, right? Like it's all data and statistics. And you can kind of use that to be, to your point before around creativity, when you're dealing with a large municipality or a large financial institution and you're helping them create a risk structure, a risk financing structure, like you can't pull that off the shelf, right? Like you have to be thoughtful about the way that you're actually going out and doing that, right? So I guess I can kind of jump into my career journey now, just as kind of like a good segue there.
No, I love it. No, this is perfect, man. Like I love the analogies and how you're tying these things in because the reality is you made several points, you know, just now. First of all, when people join the industry or coming into the industry, typically they found out from a family member who was already in it, so they were able to see it. They were in a situation where, you know, they kind of came across it randomly, or, you know, they may by happenstance, you know, went to college and said, you know what, I'm gonna get that risk management program. That thing looks nice, you know. But
rare,
which is interesting because Kareem Cade, you know, he actually got the risk management degree by accident because that's where he was closest to credit wise, and he needed to get out of school.
That's how it goes. Everyone falls, like 99% of the people in this industry is by accident. Right? Yeah. And it's such a shame.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, kind of coming into the space, realizing that, man, this touches everything and you can move in a lot of different directions. It's recession proof. Yep. And the fact that, and one thing that's interesting is you mentioned that the recruiters, you know, are coming to school to you know, talk to talent and see who they want to bring into their ranks. But where are the insurance companies? You know, it's very interesting. Very interesting because we're also in a climate where many of the professionals are starting to age out, you know, especially when it pertains to the agency owner. So no, I mean, where you are in the journey is actually perfect. So you're coming out of college. You know, did you start at AIG? Is that where you kind of?
No, so I actually started out as a commercial broker at Marsh. So
Got you.
I graduated undergrad in 2013, and then I started my career in the leadership development program at Marsh. So basically, the folks that go through that program are all like managing directors. They're running business lines now. So like that's kind of their pipeline for future leadership of the business. So I sat in that room. I'll never forget. I was one of 70 people that had gotten brought into the program that year. I was the only Black male. There was 2 Black females and 1 Latina female that was on that group. So 4 out of 70. I can't do math, but I know it's bad. And that kind of showed me, all right, well, I guess there's always 2 ways that you can look at things in this world, right? Like, and I think particularly like with the listeners here, I think it can be almost intimidating to an extent because you are typically going to be one of a few, if not the only person that sits in that room when you're going to any of your client meetings, when you're starting your career, et cetera. But I kind of viewed it as an opportunity, right? Like I brought a different type of swagger. I brought a different type of energy to every single client meeting that I had. And it's almost like you get the opportunity to kind of stand out just because of the way that you look, but you can kind of carve out your own little niche in your space within the career because of the fact that you're different. So I use that as kind of fuel for me as I was going through my career. So I was there for about 4 years. I worked on all large accounts. So typically revenue from a business perspective, anything in addition, like anything above $500 million in revenue, that's what my group covered. So I was working on accounts for Johnson and Johnson, right? We ended up putting together a very large risk financing profile for risk financing program for their business. Had the opportunity to work on a couple of different accounts for Amazon, a few for Tesla. And that's the side of the insurance business that no one talks about. If you look at there's so many people that like, yeah, I love finance and I love all of these types of industries. Okay, well, I'm sure you're looking at 10Ks, and then you see the line item on that income statement for insurance, and it's in the millions of dollars. So why would you not want to be a part of that, right? Like every single one of those businesses is required to have that. Not all those businesses need to hire an investment bank. Basically all of them have to hire an accounting firm, but not all of them need to hire a consulting firm or anyone else, right? So it's a space where when you recognize that it's something that every single company that you have ever seen, heard of, or that has existed has to purchase this particular type of product, I was hooked. It was easy.
Man, no, I love that.